It was a super wild card week, 6 wild games. We'll debrief about it and get you ready for the divisional round. 4 games, we'll give you our picks, both pick 'em and against the spread, all coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants.
Michael, people want to hear what I think about my Seahawks. Oh, my goodness. You know, I kept thinking the whole game, why didn't I hedge? Why didn't I hedge? Not only did my team out, but I missed my pick. You know, Michael, the reason I didn't hedge because I really thought the Seahawks were going to win. I give it up to the Ram defense, but boy, do turnovers hurt, especially that pick six.
Yeah, both the Seahawks game and the Cleveland Browns Steelers game came down to those turnovers. And, you know, when you get in a hole like that, that's kind of what happened in both of those games. It becomes a real challenge to come back. You know, when they knocked Wolford out, I thought they really had a good chance with Goff's thumb. He still looked kind of bad, but, you know, that pick six that the Rams got early in the game certainly influenced the outcome.
Yeah, it was a tough to be a number 3 seed in this playoffs. I actually thought when Aaron Donald went out, they would finally get less pressure. Poor Russell Wilson had no time to throw the ball. But you know what? We must move on. But you know who also had a tough week? Me, this guy who has 2 thumbs and had a tough week. 2-4. And how did that place me in our FFC against the spread pool on CBS.com?
You're not alone in last, but you're in last. You're tied for last with a few others. We had really only one who had a stellar week. I have a number of folks who picked 4 of the 6 games who were in second place tied, but we have a lone person in first who picked all 6 games. How they were able to pick that Cleveland game, I don't know.
Well, you know, I'm going to correct you. I am not in last place. I am ahead of anybody who didn't enter the poll. But that's how bad it is. That's how bad it is because, folks, you can still enter the poll. All you have to do is go to cbssports.com, make sure you sign in or sign up for an account. I'll put all the information on the screen now. So would that be crazy, Michael? Since the games go up in value, the first week was just 1 point. Anybody can still win it, even me. But let's give it up to George Fusakas, who might be masquerading as Laura, who won our NFL Survivor poll. I think she's on her way to potentially winning this one.
Yeah, she must have some secret tools that helps her because there was some upsets here and she picked them. So
Laura, let us know your picks. Actually, you may not want to because you're worried that people will go opposite you. But give us one game, Laura, in the comment section that you feel good about.
So I want to say a couple things about this last week. Just a good reminder about how the spread works and how Vegas seems to be really, really smart somehow, how they pick these spreads. I mean, the Tampa Bay Washington game, Tampa Bay beat the spread by 0.5 point. The Chicago New Orleans game. Now, who knew that Jimmy Graham was going to get that one-handed catch towards the end of the game? I'm sure that upset a few potential folks who made some bets. It ended up being a pretty close game. These spreads are tight, and it makes for a real challenge on how to decide these games.
Do you think it was that touchdown that upset people? If somehow you did an extra bet or that teased it up, how about the fact that the Bears just said we're not kicking the extra point?
Exactly.
Let's do something that the Seahawks, the Colts, the Steelers, and the Washington football team can't. Let's move on to the divisional round. The Green Bay Packers are 7.5 point favorites at home against the LA Rams. The Ram defense is sensational, and they just dominated a weak Seattle offensive line. The problem, Michael, is Green Bay has one of the best offensive lines. They've only given up their third least amount of sacks this year.
Yeah, so I mean, I hope Aaron Donald is healthy. That will make a huge impact. And we'll see if the defensive back on the Rams, give me
Ramsey?
Yes, Jalen
Jalen.
Ramsey can have the same impact on Devontae Adams that he had on Metcalf. Now Metcalf had a touchdown and a broken play late, but really he shut him down, and that was somewhat expected. We talked about it. If Devontae Adams can be shut down, then that will affect the pass rush, right? It just changes a little bit how Aaron Rodgers approaches his receivers. And while I don't think, like we talked about on our other show, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is quite as adept at avoiding the rush. But you're right. I think that the Green Bay Packers line is completely different. What I really wanted to call out is and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. I know you wanted to focus on the line, is just going back and looking at the last time Green Bay played at home. It was against Tennessee in the cold. And, Green Bay just handled Tennessee on both sides of the ball. And I think Green Bay's defense we need to call out as well. But I do see the Rams putting some pressure on Aaron Rodgers. I just don't know if it will be enough.
All indications are that Aaron Donald will play and Cooper Kupp will play. Also, Jared Goff. The question is, how effective can Jared Goff be? Either because he's really struggled this year before the injury, but I still think that's bothering him. Once again, he got to manage the clock. And when you're talking about a 7.5-point spread, as you've seen as we both learned in the Indianapolis Buffalo game, one way that you get beat by picking the favorite is even when you get in a big lead, can a team come back?
But if somehow the Packers get up, no chance for the Rams. The Rams have to keep it close. The Rams have to go up and see if they can't force a turnover, get a defensive score. That's the only way they win this game. In fact, that's the only way they can keep it within the spread. I think that this is the Packers game, and I'm picking the Packers to beat the spread.
To win and beat the spread. As a long-suffering Seahawk fan, I can tell you it is very difficult, especially as a more of a warm weather team, to go into Green Bay in January and win. Seahawks have struggled a lot, and a lot of the times that the Green Bay's Super Bowl hopes have been dashed is because when they've gone on the road, not when they've been at home. That said, I'm going to agree with you that they'll cover. I really like that offense. I think that they're one of the hottest teams, and do not underestimate the power of the bye. The Rams having a very tough game to play, coming off some dings. Green Bay was chilling at home. So I'm going to pick Green Bay. They've won 6 straight, and 3 of those 6 games were playoff teams, the Bears twice, and as Michael said, the Titans, and they're all big wins.
Yeah, and 7.5 points is a lot, but you do see some of these playoff games get out of hand. You could see Green Bay getting a defensive score and really disrupting things.
Okay, moving on to the Buffalo game. The Buffalo Bills are at home, 2.5-point favorites over Baltimore. Michael, we've got 2 very hot teams with quarterbacks that are coming of age in front of our eyes between Allen and Jackson. Wow. Who do you like here?
I really like Buffalo, how they're playing right now, all the way around. And while I really, like you say, Baltimore is very hot, and they had a nice comeback win really against Tennessee this last week and kept the game tight. I think the only way Buffalo loses this game, and the spread is small enough to where I say they don't, and the only way they don't cover the spread is if Josh Allen just changes his spades from this year and loses things and turns the ball over or just makes several mistakes with his throws. And I don't see that happening. Buffalo's defense looks very good right now, and Josh Allen continues to look good. He He had, receiver options. He didn't have to go just to Stephon Diggs this last week. I really like Buffalo in this game. How about
Yeah,
you?
Cole Beasley looked pretty darn healthy. I was really impressed. The look, I actually was a little disappointed in Buffalo last week. Obviously, I picked them 6.5 points. And they didn't cover. I really thought that was the only game that they haven't looked unbelievable, and maybe that was the first round jitters. They won 7 straight, 10 of 11. Their last 6 regular season games, they've won in double digits. I'm not going to change my opinion. I said on the live stream that I think Buffalo is going to potentially make the Super Bowl if they can just get by Kansas City. I think they're a better team than Baltimore. So IQ, I think they'll cover the 2.5 point spread. So Michael, we agree that Buffalo is going to beat Baltimore. You know who doesn't? Stephen A. Smith guaranteed that Baltimore was going to win this game. So I feel more confident that we're right. So
I hear you there.
That's Saturday. Let's move on to Sunday. Sunday's first game is Kansas City, 10.5 point favorites over Cleveland. Michael, how do you break down this game?
Well, I think this is the easiest pick 'em pick of all the games that are on, and there's a reason why the spread is so high. But the spread with where it's at, this is the hardest ATS game for me because of how Cleveland manages their games, right? They definitely manage the game. They have a fantastic run game with the two-back system there.
Let me comment about that two-back system with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. You know, people forget, me included, that Nick Chubb missed a lot of this year. If you just take the games in which they had Nick Chubb, so therefore they had the both running backs, which I think is so important, they were 11-2, right? And actually 11-1 in those 12, in the most recent 12 games, because they lost the first game of the season. So they're a different team with that rushing attack.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And their defense is, obviously they had a little bit of help with some bounces and some snaps over the quarterback's head, but their defense has stepped it up. They did look a little bit poor in terms of game management, but that's because when you get a big lead like that, sometimes you go ultra conservative. It's hard to keep the Kansas City Chiefs down. And so I think you will see Kansas City put up points, but Cleveland's going to do their best to slow the game down. Maybe they'll do their best to keep their backup coaches and linemen on the field, which seem to have a big game. But let me comment on that real quick. I think it's the offensive line of Cleveland that's going to be the differentiator here. They're just injured, right? They've been one of the best offensive lines all year long. They've got injuries. Kansas City should be able to exploit that now that it's well known what's going on there. And so I don't see snaps over the head or bounces into people one hand, defensive picks, 4 interceptions, Cleveland this week. Kansas City wins this game. Whether or not they match the spread, I'd like to hear from you one more time.
Yeah, so you make a good point about Cleveland's injuries. I mean, it's amazing that they did so well with that. And Vernon on the defensive side of the ball is out for the rest of the year. There's a reason why we say Kansas City's the best team in the NFL week in, week out. Their last 8 games, I don't count the last game. None of their players played. They're 7-0, right? But here's the problem. In that 7-0, they beat the Panthers, the Raiders, the Bucks, the Broncos, the Chiefs, the Saints, and the Falcons. Okay at best, below average teams. But do you realize the highest differential was 6 points? The Chiefs have not been blowing people out. Now, this is the playoffs. I can easily see a scenario where they turn on the Jets. They have that most valuable bye that we talked about. But I am going to take the 10.5 points and pick Cleveland. Absolutely picking Kansas City. I don't see an upset here, but I am going to take the points in against the spread.
So I think I'm gonna go with Kansas City on the spread. I think what's going to happen is Cleveland's going to try and keep the game slow. If they're smart, they'll go on offense first. But they're going to make a couple mistakes and let the game get out of hand. And Kansas City's going to do their best to have that lead. And Cleveland's going to be trying to come back, kind of like the Bears did against the Saints, to see if they can't, put in a late score. And I don't think they're going to do it. And I see Kansas City winning by 2 touchdowns here.
Did you just employ the fade Eric strategy, which, by the way, would have given you 4-2? I do think some of our fans are saying, you know what, I can't wait to hear your picks. I need to know who you're picking. In fact, I think it was Kelly St. Pierre who said, Eric, who are you picking this week between Baltimore and Tennessee on the live stream? I need to know. And I told him, Tennessee. And she picked Baltimore. I think she's
perfect.
Okay, anyway, the last game. That's a beauty. It's New Orleans at home. 3.5-point favorites over Tampa Bay. Michael, this is going to be the marquee matchup because of the quarterbacks. You know what? In our NFL Best Player contest, look, I'll put the link to that on the screen right now. We talked about Breeze versus Brady. But this isn't really Breeze versus Brady. This is the Saints versus the Bucks. What do you think?
Well, here you have two of the best defenses in the league. Obviously, New Orleans had a fantastic defensive game against the Bears this week. That made me really kind of confident in their ability. Tampa Bay's defense not quite as strong against the Redskins, which was a little bit surprising. They have had some ups and downs with their defense towards the end of the year, but I think they're the better offense. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to get in on this. I think the Buck defense is awesome against the run. There's no question about that. But against the pass, not so great. Where I think the Saints defense, rush and pass, they are super tough.
Yeah, and I wonder if the difference in this game is going to be Michael Thomas, right? And so that he hasn't been there all along. I think all year long that has impacted New Orleans' ability to kind of beat up on teams like they perhaps could have. And when you're winning games, we saw what happened against the Bears, then your defense and New Orleans especially has been very good at this. They turn the screws kind of down. And even though I'm a huge fan of what Brady can do, and I think he's got some offensive powers, they're going to have to scheme. And Bruce Arians is good at that, but they're going to have to really scheme to put enough points on the board to win this game. And so while it's very tempting, and I see why right now it looks like it's trending for Tampa Bay, it's very tempting to take the game straight up in a bet and take advantage of not just the 3.5 points, but what that would do to the odds. I think New Orleans is going to win this game. And the spread is so small, I think them winning, they probably beat the spread as well, Eric.
3.5 points is interesting, right? You got that extra half point. My initial instinct in this game is to pick the Bucks because of all those many offensive weapons and the playoff veteran experience of Gronk and Antonio Brown, in addition to Drew Brees and Godwin, and Mike Evans actually looked healthy in that game. But here's the thing. I rewatched both of the highlights, not the entire game, the highlights of the Saints and the Bucks. The Saints beat them twice. Once 34-23 at home, and then completely destroyed them 38-3. They were up 31-0 at halftime. And the Saint defensive line really put pressure on Brady and forced mistakes. He threw 2 interceptions the first game, 3 the third time. And New Orleans is 8th in sacks. I commented so much about how that Tampa Bay offense has been so great this year. They've averaged 34 points in their last 8 games, but they played the Falcons twice, the Vikings, the Lions, and the Panthers. 24th, 28th, 26th, and 23rd against in sacks. So not only am I going to pick New Orleans to win the game, I'm going to go against my original instinct and pick New Orleans to cover. So
yeah, real quick, I think it's tempting to split that and go, take the 3.5 points and go on the spread with Tampa Bay. But
is that because I just picked New Orleans?
No, I'm gonna stay with you. The reason why it's tempting go with Tampa Bay also is because it's hard to beat a team 3 times in 1 year. We've seen that multiple times. But I haven't said it enough on the other games. I'm going to go with coaching here. I think coaching is going to make the difference. And Sean Payton versus Bruce Arians. I mean, I think Bruce Arians is fun to watch, but he's not a championship coach yet, where Payton is. And the same goes with some of these other games. I think coaching will make the difference. And that's why I see the Saints winning and covering.
Okay, Michael. So on Saturday, we both picked Green Bay and Buffalo to cover. On Sunday, was a split on the Kansas City Cleveland game, 10.5-point spread. You are going with Kansas City to cover. I am going to go with Cleveland with the points. And we both agree with New Orleans over Tampa Bay. This should be interesting in our pool. This is now when you get 2 points one more time. Go ahead. I think it would be hilarious if you just enter now and somehow come back to win it. You can do it because it goes up to 2 points this week, 3 points in the divisional round, and 4 points for the Super Bowl. If you made it this part of the video, please smash the like button. And if you haven't yet, we really want to get to at least 8,000 subscribers by the end of our season. Smash the subscriber button.
And we want to hear from you. Please comment. Don't only just tell us who you think is going to win or whether they're going to beat the spread, but also why. Give us a breakdown of the game. Tell us so we can have some fun debates with you.
There is a chance, Michael, if we get any late breaking news, we will adjust this pick. But guess when we're going to tell you? You got to join our live stream this Saturday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Man, Michael, it was a lot of fun to do it last week. Looking forward to redoing it this week.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm excited. I hope we get a few more folks coming in there, get some controversy so you and I can rip each other's heads off. It should be fun.
Can't wait. I'll get my boxing gloves. All right, everybody. You guys out there, be safe, take care, and we'll see you next time.
See you. Have fun.